And so it's not like this where you actually get to, where it's in person. It's more kind of like the old text-based type thing. I kind of consider like the back in the 90s when it was like the old bulletin board thing where you'd actually be able to send in the question, and you get to actually do it like a text-based thing. It was the old celebrity text-based type stuff where you get to text back and forth, with whoever was online at the time. So that's kind of coffee chat type thing. So that's how that works. Yes. So it's really kind of cool because it gives you a little bit more time to kind of think about your answer and then, get it put all together and then you post it out. And it's really kind of cool because what we do actually, so today it was me, Sherry Deutsch, and Mandy George, and we actually went ahead and we called in on a Teams call. And so we're like all collaborating. It's like, okay, I'm going to take this question, you take that question.
Okay.
And so we were kind of like formulating like what we were going to do and just collaborating on, I'm going to do this, you do that. And we just kind of like attacked it.
Cool.
I really like that.
Love it. Oh, that's awesome. And like you were saying, like, since it's not audio like this, there's something to go back and listen to, but you can always go back and read like what people are typing back and forth.
Yes. So I should be on camera while I'm answering here, by the way, too. So.
I appreciate it. Yep. No, that's awesome. Yeah, I feel like Experience Week is really like just expanded leaps and bounds. They have not only like some of the great training and like editorials and blogs, but like the Adobe champs do the office hours. So there's so much good stuff there. They really, really have beefed it up, I feel.
Yeah, and I will have to admit that Experience League is how I originally got involved with the Adobe Champions program. So it's a great place to go if you're looking to get involved with the community, if you're trying to ask questions. It's a great way to just, overall just understand and learn more. It's where, it's just a good place to get involved with the people that are doing stuff. So
love it. Oh, and then go for it, Luke. Sorry.
Yeah, and we want to make this a very interactive session. So if there's any other resources that anybody else has on Adobe Analytics or any of the other topics, feel free to put them in the chat or just let us know.
I was going to say one of the other things that we also that I included this morning that I thought was that I wanted to share with everybody. It's one of the things that I've actually been reading recently, kind of near and dear to my heart, and I'm sure you'll agree. It's Brent Dyke's Effective Data Storytelling, and I hope I'm not jumping on anything you might be expecting to bring up. If you are doing anything with Adobe Analytics, if you're doing anything with data, then I highly recommend looking more into data storytelling, because I'll tell you, when you are presenting data, I would highly recommend looking more into data storytelling, because if you're just presenting data and you're slapping it on the page, then you're only doing part of your job. So, yay, you have it in your presentation. Yes. So I highly recommend reading this. I just recently bought his new book, so that's what I'm doing. So fantastic. Love it. So I'll go ahead. And so it looks like I jumped ahead just a little bit.
No, it's perfect. It's perfect. I mean, there's so much going on. It's fun. So I don't think it's jumping. We're just talking. So I love it.
I want to highly recommend doing that. I've been reading it as I can. We have what we call development days, and as much as I can, that's what I was doing, was reading that during my development day, and then I keep reading it as I can, and it's already been improving some of the stuff that I'm reporting, I will tell you.
Good. Oh, it looks like Gretchen may be back on, and I think this was one of the books that Gretchen put on here.
Yep. So I'm going to let other people talk now because we're going into your presentation. So
no, you're good. This is perfect.
Yeah, this is good.
Can you hear me now?
We got you, Gretchen.
Okay, yay.
But yeah, I think we'll go back. We just kind of kicked off, and
we don't have to go back. I'm sure you guys handled that first later. It's fine.
But yes,
I put these on. I really
go ahead. Sorry, babe.
So I really enjoyed that. I've got the link too, and we'll try and get this back out to everyone after the meeting. I watched that video about using color. I went back and changed all of my reports, like right after watching that video. I mean, Adobe, you're kind of limited with your color palette and how you can use it, but kind of in your other data tools, flexibility. About when I want to use which color, since you kind of have to use the colors in order in Adobe, which sometimes.
Yep.
But we'll work with it.
I love
it. Yeah, and just to go along with,
Brent Dykes. I will say I haven't read his books, but I've read a lot of stuff. He's the stuff, and I think he's really good too.
Awesome. Agreed. Luke, what do you got, babe?
Yeah, I mean, to go along with that, because I've been very guilty of just putting things into tables, everything, and so
Did we lose Luke now?
Oh.
Can you hear me?
Gretchen, can you hear us? I'll text her. Oh no. Awesome. Oh, she dropped it. All right, Luke, you're free to move on. That's too bad. Luke?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, just go along with what Jeff was talking about, the effective data storytelling. I've been very guilty in the past of just putting everything into tables. Like, yeah, I can just see the same. But I was able to listen to a training session on Steve Wexler, and really changed my perspective on a lot of this. It's like, talked about which type of visualizations to use, how we tend to overuse pie charts, and you shouldn't have more than X number of items in the pie chart. He was really big on horizontal graphs. In a couple books I did read or have reading, but I have them listed as the big picture and the big book of dashboards. Both of these books, because at first I was like, which one do I buy? And they pretty much complement each other. So I've been trying to do that more and more, is like how to tell that effective story.
I love it.
Yep.
Well, all you story people, I'm going to jump back up here because like my favorite is the implementation piece. So I am in awe of how you all can take the data and make it just sing. So thanks for making the data sing, especially when we're collecting it. So if you're more wanting to collect the data so people can make it sing, or even yourself can make it look beautiful. I think a couple of our fan favorites are, Frederick Warner with the full stack. So then, we tried to put the URL right after it. So that way you can see it later. But that's always a good one. He's always talking about the latest stuff. And now I think he's putting on some more classes that I think you can just sign up for. You just register and you can take them. So he's always a great source. And then Pedro, I love reading him. He's a multi-solution architect at Adobe. And so he just talks about a lot of stuff and puts it in a fashion that I can understand and be like, oh, okay, I see what's going on. So those are a couple of my fan favorites for the implementation side of the house. Do we have any other implementation side of the house people on the call? You can share your fan favorites too. And then you can't talk about and Adobe Analytics without talking about Ben and Jen, and Eric, Travis, let's see, Paulson, all of those guys and girls, these guys just broadly are always great to follow on Twitter. And Gretchen put this one on here and she was all being funny. So it's Twitter or whatever other platforms are coming out. So what's the new, Threads. So Twitter or Threads or something like that. So, but I do follow people like on LinkedIn, because then like in the morning I can drink my coffee and just kind of go through my LinkedIn feed and see what some people have posted. And so this Brian is someone that works at Adobe as well that I've really enjoyed. He's been talking a lot about CJA and AEP a lot lately, and just does a really great job of like incorporating visuals. So their visuals, not only for the data, but for the blogs on data, have been really helpful. Yeah. Awesome. And then you have the good old Adobe Analytics user group. So all of us and all of the sessions are taped. So all the recordings of past sessions, and they're all out on YouTube. And this is a really long, like YouTube has to figure out something a little bit better. But if you search for Adobe Analytics user groups on YouTube, you'll find us. And so it's all of it. So there's quite a few. There's like NAM Central, and Jeff, you're part of NAM East. And there's even a Utah group, I think, right there that you can go in person, that they have one, like Intermountain, I think is what they're called. So there's quite a few. No, and so they're all recorded, so you can go back and re-listen. Sweet. Then you move from Adobe Analytics more to digital. So I think this is too bad that Gretchen is I feel so bad for her, because I know she loves a lot of these things. And so the Razors blog, had one, that's, I feel like, a staple. And it just goes back to, I think even when I first began, that was out there. So that's a tried and true. And I feel like maybe it's more just like theory. Like there's definitely tool specific pieces of it, but I love the theory that's usually shared in those blogs.
Yeah, and also Avinash, he had a
show off, you know how books. To say it.
Yeah, he had a couple of books. Yeah, which really, so when I was getting into digital analytics, just reading his book really changed my perspective on a lot of it. It's like wow. So he put it in a way easy to understand, easy to digest, and for me, it was just like an aha moment. It's like, oh, okay, I definitely get this now. So
too awesome. Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah.
His emails typically put me to shame. Or I shouldn't say always. Sometimes they'll put something that I'm doing to shame, and then I'm like, oh, okay, all right. Then I go back and rethink it.
Yeah.
So
no, okay. I got it. My claim to that is. Oh, sorry.
I was going to say, I will say that it did make me rethink my bounce rate at one point. So I thought it was really good to look at how I thought about bounce rate at one point. So that was a good article that I read about from him. So yes.
I think people have very strong feelings about bounce rate. Like there's some metrics that people are very passionate, that they passionately love or passionately do not love.
Yep.
But it was so funny in reading like one of his articles. I think it was in his book too, though. He talked about a website that I had worked on, and it was so funny because he was like, I wonder why this happened. I'm like, oh, I know all the reasons that happened. But I was like, oh, that's kind of funny to find your own company as an example in someone's book. But hey, Gretchen, are you back? Can you hear us? I know you can talk about some of these and love some of these podcasts up here. Maybe not. But yeah, the Power Hour, that one, oh my gosh, it will make you giggle, and then it definitely stretches you. That's for sure. Like I thought I liked math until I listened to some of the stuff that they talk about. I'm like, oh geez, I didn't go that far apparently in math at college. So I think that's just a great listening and like stretching your brain.
Yeah, I really like the Analytics Power Hour. I actually know Tim Wilson and met him. We had many conversations at conferences, and he is the smartest guy in the world, I think. But he makes statistics fun. So him and Mo, I love Mo, and Michael is the best too. So they're quite the trio, and it definitely makes analytics more fun to like learn about and listen to.
That's a true statement. I do like that they swear. I'm like, okay, so that happens across the board.
Oh yeah, that's the best part too, right? You're like, oh, I don't feel so bad that I swear in meetings.
Oh, I love it. Oh, and Randy, I'm sorry I missed that Measure Slack. I kind of went over that, but you read Measure Slack daily. Oh my gosh, that's awesome. There has to be.
Yeah, Measure Slack too. You have any questions about anything, just post on there. Some of the people are on there that are experts that I used to work with, and they will answer, and they will give you the right answer, and you won't have to worry about whether or not it's the right answer, because
I love you. The right answer.
Definitely.
Oh yeah, and Randy, you're saying that Avinash there. Thanks for saying it, Luke, because I was going to say it wrong. That's why I shied off on it. That his books are old, but the concepts still hold up. Yep, definitely a true statement. So true. Oh, and you like? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
And also, we can't forget in terms of books, like Adam Greco's Site Catalyst handbook. I was like, okay, to me that was.
I still have that one right here. I have it within graph to reach it.
Okay, all my back, guys.
Too funny.
You back, Gretchen?
I am. Yay! I had to try a different computer and everything. I don't know what's wrong.
Yes.
You gotta have that one, guys.
Which one is it?
Oh yeah, the newer one.
Yeah, Eric wrote that one too, right?
Yeah, Eric wrote that one. In fact, he was signing copies of that one at Summit again. So
I love it. Yeah. Gretchen,
I know.
Do you want to talk about any of these? I know, like we were so sad. We're like, oh, Gretchen loves all of these. That she'd have such good influence.
I don't know. I just, podcasts was a COVID shutdown adoption on my part. So I've kind of gotten into them. I don't listen to all the podcasts every week or whenever they're released, kind of based on the topic. Right. I decide if I want to listen to it, because they can get I have a short attention span when it comes to podcasts. So an hour is a really long time for me to like listen to something. So that's why I like the Measure Pod, because it's more like half an hour. I can deal with that.
I love it.
And when I was in GA World, it was fun to listen to that.
Yay. Awesome. All right, let's see. What's the next slide here? Oh, our visualization. So we had a great segue on this already. So that's awesome.
I think are you going backwards?
Oh, I'm not seeing anything.
We didn't hit all those slides, Gretchen. So
okay.
Yeah, we were backtracking and then we hit one that we hit. Yep. Perfect. So now we're all up to digital marketing. So yes, Gretchen, take it away, babe.
Well, again, these are a couple of podcasts. I don't think I've actually listened to the marketing school one. I just saw it in the podcast list, but I have listened to the digital marketing podcast, because a lot of what we do is just more than analytics. We have to have a good understanding of business. So it's kind of good. I know they did a really good one on like why we should stop using personas a little bit ago. And I've seen a little bit more about this. It's like, we need to bucket customers more on kind of their the problems that we're solving them, that we're solving for them, instead of like age, instead of like the traditional demographics that we've seen. Because I don't know, I've seen this meme recently, where like they have Prince Charles, or I guess King Charles now, and Ozzy Osbourne, and their demographics are exactly the same.
I saw that one too.
So it's like, you need to be careful how you're applying this. So just kind of trying to, keep in touch with everything, because I don't always spend a lot of time with, since I've never been a marketer personally, I've just always been on the analytics side. It's just good to grow that knowledge.
True statement. No, that's awesome. No, that meme totally cracked me up as well. So that was it struck home. It was a good one.
Yeah, so I made me think of that podcast that I listened to recently too, and one of them was like I only got halfway through it because again, short attention span, but it was like a new spreadsheet tool
Oh, yeah.
called Grid that has a lot of AI capabilities built into. So like instead of like having to remember how to like do like an offset formula or the match formula, you could just tell it, hey, I want to know all of the the top value in this column matched with that column. I don't know.
I'm writing that
Just
down.
kind of doing more natural language. So it's an Icelandic company called Grid. So
Very cool.
I know I'm
After this.
like that would be cool, but and then I don't know if anyone else has had to do a lot with Google Analytics if you have both GA and Adobe, or you kind of straddle that world, or you've lived needing to learn Google Analytics. I've had a couple of jobs where I needed to know Google Analytics, and coming from an Adobe background, then learning Google, it's very different. So both Simo and Julian from Measure School really saved my butt when I took that job, because I'm like, I'm supposed to know what's going on and I don't know how to do anything in Google.
I love you.
If I didn't have Simo on here, I was going to be Simo is the source for Google. Like anything you want to ever know. And he's like, it's real sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt the flow.
No, we want this to totally be conversations.
Yeah, he if you post a question on his blog about something, he will respond. And you can even get him on Measure Slack too. So
yeah, well, that's great.
Yeah,
and Measure School has a lot of really good videos on doing stuff. I mean, obviously they have classes too you can sign up for, but just learning Google Tag Manager and GA and more recent, initially, and then more recently the kind of moving it to GA4. Krista Seiden is, she knows all things Google Analytics as well, so she's a really nice help for transitioning to GA4 when we had to do that. So
I'm with you. I'm bad with names, so when I say his name wrong, you'll have to forgive me. But yeah, Simo, it's just fun.
Simo Ohaba.
Yes, this is why I was not a teacher. I can just say like Bob. But yeah, once again, how he walks you through, you make sure that you understand it and it's doable, and that he tells you those like little gotchas. We're like, oh yeah, that would have been kind of painful to have to figure out on my own. And the same thing with Julius. I really like Julius. Like he's such a
he's such a little cutie.
He's always just like pumped up and ready to show you.
I know. So positive.
Very positive. I agree. So yeah, definitely.
And I need some positivity when I turn to the internet to figure something out, because I'm frustrated. I'm like, I've tried, I give up. I need some help.
I love it.
And that's definitely one advantage GA has over Adobe. If you just Google something, there's so many more resources. Adobe, you kind of have to know a little bit more where to look. I think it's gotten better over the years. I think they've done a lot of Experience League. They've done a lot of things to improve that over the years. But sometimes it's still frustrating to try and find the information or the exact scenario, I think, that you're looking for in Adobe. So that's definitely the one advantage for GA resources.
That's funny. Okay. Gotta go to the next slide here. There we go. And everything. I love that title. Great title.
I didn't know what to call it. So, obviously we talked about Eric Matisoff already, and he does have LinkedIn Learning. I think he's recording an advanced right now, or it's out very recently. I can't remember which. I just remember seeing something from him on that. And a lot of companies, some companies will pay for you to have that LinkedIn Learning. If you have LinkedIn Premium, you have LinkedIn Learning. But also, I've worked at a couple companies that just pay for the license for you, or whatever kind of online learning tool that your company provides. There may be some stuff out there. Again, not just Adobe Analytics, digital marketing general, digital marketing in general. So all that other stuff. So yeah, so you can see the screenshot of just kind of digital marketing analytics classes. There's a lot of them out there.
Now that LinkedIn Learning, it has truly everything's the right title for this, because I think I saw a video on like when you go out to dinner, like what forks like to use. I'm like, I don't think I've ever been in a place where I didn't know, like I had too many forks to know which one to use. But you can get your like highfalutin how to go have tea, with your king of Britain or England. So there definitely is everything out there.
Yeah, and they just have a lot of kind of business in general classes and kind of mental positivity and how to deal with things. We've all had coworkers that are really difficult, or somebody in our life. So, you can listen to some classes about that, or, how whatever you're struggling with, even if it's not necessarily a work-related issue, or, you want to learn SQL, you want to, upskill. They've got tons of stuff there. But there's tons of free stuff, so don't feel like you have to pay for it. There's lots of free stuff out there.
Love it. Awesome. And so that was kind of our list. And so coming up, Adobe, Christian, you put on here an upcoming Adobe webinar of processing tools. And
I am.
And I think they had one today on like marketing channels. And it was really great because they did marketing channels for both like Adobe Analytics and CJA. So you had one webinar that hit marketing channels on both sides of the coin, AA and CJA. So that was cool. Yeah. So definitely, if you weren't able to see that earlier today, that recording should go out, I would think, pretty soon. So that was a fun one.
Yeah, and don't forget, all the summit sessions are out there. So even if you didn't sign up for a summit in time, you can still go out there and sign up and watch any of the sessions that they have out there. And then just Adobe has, they try and do those office hours with Experience League. Yeah. They have coffee breaks. They could do the Experience League. They're really trying to grow that as a community.
That's true. Go back up to that one because thankfully we had at the very beginning, Jeff was on and talked about how he did a coffee chat on Experience League.
That was just today, right?
Yeah, and like to your point, they are really trying to push and really support Adobe as because I know on that community, they have community champs, and so you can get swag and get a special banner and get access to additional I think talk to different Adobe product people. So yeah, I'm with you. I think that Experience Link there's lots of great opportunities not only to go read, but then kind of as Jeff was saying, get more involved and kind of get some personal branding elevation, by being part of that community and stuff. So yeah, very cool.
I don't know if you talked about this or not, but they do also have mentors for taking the certification exams.
Oh, I don't think I knew that.
Yeah, I just started. It's just starting for business practitioner exam. I will fully disclose I am a Google person, and I've been a Google person for 10 years, but now I have to learn Adobe because, like you said, some companies have Adobe and Google, and so if you guys have GA4 questions, you can also reach out to me.
Okay. Well,
I've done a lot of those guys.
Okay. I'm hoping I put my GA, my need for GA behind me, but it does keep popping up. It
everybody.
seems like I'm like, oh God, please don't make me do Google Analytics. Although I do enjoy Data Studio. There's a handful of things in Data Studio. I'm like, why can't I do this in Adobe?
But so the mentor program, I'm not sure what it's about, but basically they they're like, here, we're gonna help you study for the exam.
I remember seeing something on that. I didn't sign up because I'm like, since I've never been certified in anything other than crazy, I'm not sure that I would be good with that.
Oh my gosh. That's cool. Yeah, I saw something about mentors, but it wasn't. That's cool about how they're tying it in to help with studies, because those certifications, they can be intense and
they are no joke. I mean, one of my colleagues, she's worked in Adobe for she's been in analytics since analytics was a thing. And she had to take the exam a few times. And she's like, she knows, like, she built out Adobe implementations for huge banks, So take it when you fail. FYI, it's not you. It's the test. Very difficult.
I do think it's like that timeline of like, you have to know a lot, but then you might know too much, and then you're like rereading the question like 5 different ways, and like that's too fun. Randy said he needed a reaction button to the GA comment. I don't know if that's a good reaction or like
was it a visceral reaction? Randy?
I know, there's like not one that's visceral enough. I know. So it was gonna be now emoji it would have been.
I will say I had the chance to use Heap Analytics for 9 months or so, and I really enjoyed Heap. There's some pretty cool things you can do in Heap because it's one of those auto magic collect everything systems that I'm like, you mean I can have retroactive data? I'm like, what? But Adobe is still the best by far.
So biased, but
I know, not like, we're not biased or anything, but
no, I mean, learning Adobe after learning Google and wondering why. Okay, so nobody's recording this, right? Wondering why Google is so much more complicated. It doesn't need to be.
Well, as an Adobe person, when I would work with somebody new and they're like, I want to know bounce rate and time on site. And I'm like, you're a Google person, aren't you? I'm like, even Google knows bounce rate is terrible because they got rid of it. And they're de-emphasizing all their time metrics too. So, engagement rate, that's what we want, not bounce rate. That's what I always tell people, like, let's measure what we want people to do and not what we want people not to do. And, bounce rate isn't always a bad thing, it depends on the page, what the purpose of the page is. So don't get hung up.
It's great for marketing.
Yes, in certain cases, but a bounce is a page metric. It's a page metric.
Yeah, it's not a
not a site metric.
No, I agree with you. It's just like I hear it all the time. It's like, oh, what is the bounce rate on this page? It's like you have nothing going to it. What do you want them to do?
Well, even like exit rate, I was working with a younger analyst, and he was showing like the exit rate. It was like a site report for an exit rate, and it wasn't 100%. And I'm like, honey, your exit rate's always 100% for your site. So let's rethink how we're using this metric. It's not a site metric.
Like, no matter how great your site is, eventually they will leave.
Yeah.
It's always 100%.
I usually just use bounce rate for bot traffic. That's it. Filtering out bot traffic.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, but even we've had, over the years, we've seen a lot of weird traffic that, it's just hitting the site that's, someone is sending to the site that just bounces, or, goes on to try and do fraudulent activities. So
in our next meetings, so we're shooting for October 3rd, we were thinking maybe some like, I think there's kind of a push to, get onto CJA. And we were thinking maybe we could talk about what it looks like to move from Adobe Analytics to CJA. Is that something that you guys would like, or we'd love to get some ideas from you or topics or feedback on what you'd like us to try to, because we can get with Adobe and try to, get some product specialists here. So if there's something in particular that you guys have been like really trying to figure out, or you'd love to hear more, we could try to work with Adobe and get someone in here to talk about that.
we've got 1 thumbs up on that.
Awesome. So
And another yes, please.
cool. Awesome. Yeah, because I think just being able to, I think right now, it's not, Adobe always says like, it's not going to work. I heard that many times at Adobe Summit, but I think just talking internally, and I think that's kind of what we're thinking, and Gretchen and I and Luke were kicking around the next topic is like, hey, what can all of us talk to our bosses so they can talk to their bosses about what would that roadmap look like? And that way it can start kind of getting woven into, future roadmaps, like in the next few years, just so people understand what are the steps, and kind of at a high level at first, because you're talking to your boss and boss's boss, you kind of need them a little bit more high level and then start kind of drilling down as stuff gets closer. So cool. Awesome. Then we'll keep moving forward with that approach. So thanks for the thumbs up. Thanks for the feedback. Well, fantastic. And I do think that's everything we had for today. So Gretchen, Luke, any parting words before we turn everybody loose on a Tuesday night?
No.
I'm sorry I missed so much of it with all my technical difficulties. This was a topic I was really excited about too.
I know, we were in pain for you.
Yeah. No,
I
was
haven't
having a
had
lot of
trouble
issues
all day.
also.
I'm not quite sure what happened. So
Murphy's Law. Oh,
Yep.
totally is. So
awesome. Well, thank you guys. This has been a blast. Been looking forward to all day, and you guys came through and made it happy. So appreciate you all.
Thanks for having us.